Okay, awards watchers, we know the nominees for the 2020 SAG Awards in film and TV. This is going to be our editor's TV slugfest. And my name is Marcus James Dixon. I'm here with Chris Beachum, Susan Wloszczyna, Daniel Montgomery, and Joyce Eng. And the big news is Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. It tops all other shows with 4 nominations. And coming in with 3 nominations apiece are The Crown, Fleabag, Game of Thrones, The Kominsky Method, The Morning Show, and Stranger Things. And Joyce, I'm going to come to you first. What do you think about what's nominated in comedy and what's not nominated in comedy?
I think most of us expected Fleabag to get it.
Brosnahan.
Yeah, that's my Brosnahan.
Phoebe Waller-Brosnan.
Yeah. And they dropped Glow sadly after a couple years, but Schitt's Creek got in, and Catherine O'Hara too, so that's great. But they completely snubbed Veep, so it's not having a great farewell tour. And this means Julia Louis-Dreyfus, her record of SAG wins will stay at 9 for now, since she can't add to it this year. So until her next show. But I think these are most of the usual suspects. Most of us were predicting, and Maisel went 3 for 3 last year in the comedy categories, and I can see it doing it again potentially because SAG also loves repeats. But I think the heat on Fleabag could probably propel it to at least 2 wins for Phoebe and ensemble.
And the interesting thing about SAG, at least on the TV side, is how they combine supporting and lead. And it's always fun seeing which supporting people get in. For comedy, we have Alan Arkin, which Gold Derby did not predict. And we have Andrew Scott, which we did, and Tony Shalhoub, last year's winner. Susan, what do you make of this category for male actor in a comedy? We also have Michael Douglas and Bill Hader.
Right. Well, I'm a big Kominsky fan, so I didn't look at what I picked. I didn't keep up with you guys, but yeah, I love Mrs. Maisel. So, and I'm glad. I don't want to see Alex and Rachel, come to fisticuffs or anything, but I'm glad they both got recognized. And I love Fleabag too. So, I mean, for me, and the hot priest got in there. So, I'm very happy with, this isn't surprising, this lineup, to me. So, because these are shows I like. And, but, I don't know about SAG, it's interesting, Barry is still in there too. They didn't really go for more newer stuff except for Dead to Me, right? So.
Oh yeah.
They don't like new stuff. Unless you're Apple now.
Yeah. And for the female actor in a comedy, it's Alex Borstein is the only supporting. She's going up against Christina Applegate, Rachel Brosnahan, Catherine O'Hara, Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Chris, size up the comedy races. Anything stand out to you about who's in or who was snubbed?
Well, I had Julia winning, so I guess I'm not going to do that anymore. That was her last possibility ever, I guess, at anything for Veep. Maisel swept last year, won actress, actor, and ensemble. I don't think they're going to win any of those. They might win ensemble, but usually when you see, like Tony last year won because it was 2 Barrys and 2 Kominskys and then Tony. I think the vote splitting helped him. He doesn't have that benefit this year because I think Bill Hader not having Henry Winkler in the category, I think they're going to be itching to give it to Bill Hader. And then Rachel really, I know Alex was in against Rachel last year, but Rachel was the obvious choice between the two. Mm-hmm. I think Phoebe coming in this year is going to make that harder for a Rachel-Alex split, and Phoebe wins there. On series, of course, the Prediction Center will be up later today. I haven't officially made these predictions. It's going to be Fleabag or Maisel. Fleabag is such a small group I probably will predict Maisel now that I'm thinking about it.
The SAG Awards do love to repeat. I mean,
They love her.
Modern Family.
One reason I picked This Is Us last year, and a reminder, I got all 100% SAG TV winners right. And Tony Shalhoub and some of the tough ones. But one reason I did was I wasn't picking anybody else to repeat last year. And they're going to have, I mean, sometimes they have a bunch of repeats. So This Is Us was the only one that made sense to me last year, with some of the ones not even being eligible. And
it can't repeat this year.
So Maisel, I think, could be the beneficiary of that, something that they want to give it to again.
And I agree with you that Maisel will win, but I also, part of me wonders about Schitt's Creek, because, I mean, we know that it's a pop TV show, but it's on Netflix now, and that's why we're seeing it explode at the Emmys earlier this year and now at the SAG Awards, and Catherine O'Hara got in. Daniel, what do you think? Who do you think is winning, and do you think Schitt's Creek has a chance?
Yeah, one of the few nomination predictions that wasn't like obvious that I got right for TV was Schitt's Creek for ensemble. I didn't have Catherine O'Hara getting in. I do think Schitt's Creek has a shot at that top category. I probably will, like Chris, play it safe, saying that they like repeats, and where they have an option, they'll probably give it to Maisel again. But that's such a cast, like that's such an ensemble show that I feel like that might help it. And even though it's a pop TV show, I mean, I think most of us agree that most of the people who nominated it, and most of the people who voted for it here and at the Emmys, probably watched it on Netflix. So, and we've seen that Netflix bump in a lot of places, for Stranger Things winning ensemble, and being on Netflix definitely helps you at the SAG Awards, and Schitt's Creek is on Netflix, even though it's technically a pop TV show. So I really think that's the only show that could surprise a maybe Fleabag, Maisel kind of battle. I do think the best thing for Fleabag in the top category is the fact that it got Andrew Scott in. There's a lot of support for the show. Although I feel like Fleabag is such a one-woman show in terms of how it's perceived. It's Phoebe Waller-Bridge. She wrote it. She produces it. She stars in it. So I feel like if they vote for her there, I feel like they might feel like it's taken care of. And Maisel has a bigger cast, and it's one that they've already rewarded. So they might go for that cast.
How did Andrew Scott, by the way, now that we've seen the rest of 2019, not get in at the Emmys? Would they obviously love the show?
I think he was just like
the Gold Derby Award.
He just missed out.
Golden Globes and SAG Awards. What was going on with those people?
It's like we talked about in film with a few contenders that were maybe a week or two, too early to really get enough of like the saturation that they got. I feel like if Fleabag had started its kind of like a 2 or 3 weeks or a month earlier, then all of that buzz for Andrew Scott, in addition to the rest of the show, would have gotten in. I mean, I'm more and more convinced that Andrew Scott was like, what were there, 6 nominees in that category, was like 7th.
Yeah, I think he just missed the threshold, and it was just different for supporting actress, which got Sean and Olivia in, because we had 3 Barry people in that category at the Emmys. So I think it was just like voters were just prioritizing Barry first because it was more familiar to them, and then Fleabag broke a little too late for him to make it in. So I think he just missed it, and now he's getting redemption for that snub.
Well, I'm also thinking that what we were saying about the film side, we have 3 shows with actors in it, and and they obviously like them because they're up for best ensemble. So, I mean, does that count more than other things when they're deciding?
Maybe. I mean, look at Rachel Brosnahan. She's not playing an actress, but she's playing a performer as well, and that show dominated last year. Well,
they did have the last episode, Luke Kirby went on Steve Allen, so there was TV involved.
And moving over to drama, the 5 nominees for ensemble are Big Little Lies, The Crown, Game of Thrones, Handmaid's Tale, and Stranger Things. And what's interesting is This Is Us is not there. It's the reigning champion for ensemble.
2-time reigning champion.
And before that, Stranger Things won. So Stranger Things is back after taking off a year. Game of Thrones has never won. But if you look at the cast lists, and Chris, chime in here if you want, Game of Thrones has the biggest cast of all.
Yeah, but this is not like some of the other categories where you see, like Fleabag has 6 people. All of these have, looks like 20 range, maybe Game of Thrones has 30, between 25 and 30. The smallest one is The Crown. But I was going to say, that's why I popped on there. How many weeks have I been saying I didn't think This Is Us was going to make it into ensemble, even though they did 1-2 in a row?
Yeah. Wait, how did you know?
It's too stacked. Now, I would have never guessed Stranger Things because it hasn't. I think it was the least best.
Reviewed.
The worst reviewed of the 3. Not that it had bad reviews, but just of the 3 years. And then it's not done any. It was not up at Critics' Choice. It's not up at the Golden Globes. It's not getting many of these Guild Award nominations. So that does surprise me that it got in. It is the Netflix factor, but they had some other things too. So that does surprise me a little bit that it got in and This Is Us didn't, because I thought the biggest snub of the week of any show is probably Succession not getting in here. Talk about a show on a roll.
Very rude.
Better reviewed second season, and certainly being on in the summer, something they all watched. And a cast that they're pretty familiar with most of the people in that cast. How is that not in here?
Yeah, that was probably the most upsetting for me, because even if it didn't get into ensemble, which was competitive, like I would have loved if just like Brian Cox had gotten into actor or something.
But did anybody here even consider it not getting nominated for ensemble?
No, I think I had it winning.
I think I had it.
I love Succession, so
I think I had it 4th or 5th, just because it didn't get in last year, and so it's always tough to assume that something is going to get in for the first time.
They play catch up all the time.
For finding things on the second year,
but not always. Like, look at Pose. They didn't find Pose either.
But it's not just like that. It was the second year. It was that like season 2 was so much better, and everyone loved season 2. And it was like the buzziest thing over the summer. So yeah, that is surprising, especially because the HBO slot went to Big Little Lies, which got no other nomination. Like the morning show got 3 individual nominations, but no ensemble, and then Big Little Lies got ensemble and no individual nominations.
Not even Meryl. Poor Meryl.
Yeah, I mean, that category was also stacked. Like, this is why it sucks they don't have lead and supporting for TV.
Yeah. Well, the nominees for a female actor in a drama, it's Jennifer Aniston, Morning Show, Helena Bonham Carter, The Crown, which I'm killing myself for not predicting her. I think she was in 7th in the overall odds. So I wasn't alone in ignoring her, but it's such an obvious nomination. Olivia Colman for The Crown, Jodie Comer, Killing Eve, Elizabeth Moss returned for Handmaid's Tale after being snubbed. And by the way, what's going on with Sandra Oh? Who has an explanation? Why is she getting snubbed at Golden Globes, at SAG Awards? She just won all of these a year ago.
So now they want to look like they know what's up and nominate the Emmy winner. So yeah, I don't know. I didn't have Sandra getting into Globes or SAG, so I don't know how many other people did. I don't know where she was in her odds, but I think it's just like
a lot of us didn't. But I'm like Marcus. I don't understand why.
I think there's not enough room for her. Like, if the field was weaker, she could probably pull off.
The Globes makes sense. They'll drop somebody in a heartbeat once they give them the trophy. But SAG is notorious for, nominating people over and over and over again, even after a win.
I mean,
that's why I thought.
So it's like
I thought Sandra would get in. I was predicting her to get in just because, like Chris says, SAG will stay with you even if you're not the hot new thing anymore. I remember Viola Davis for How to Get Away with Murder. The buzz for that show kind of died off a lot after its first year and when she won that Emmy, but she got back in at the SAG Awards. I think she won twice in a row. Uzo Aduba for Orange is the New Black kept getting in, so it does surprise me.
Where it's also odd here is the welcoming back of Handmaids. Well, I don't guess it was not eligible. It was eligible here last year, even though it wasn't at the Emmys. But no Golden Globe nominations for Handmaids, no Critics' Choice nominations for Handmaids. Why is SAG hanging on to it?
It also never awarded it because Claire Foy beat Elizabeth that year.
And Handmaids didn't win Ensemble.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
I wonder if it feels like a lot of these streaming shows, I wonder if it's a ratings thing, because we don't know how many people like hard numbers on like Handmaid's Tale. Netflix only brags about the ratings it wants to brag about. Like, I wonder if Stranger Things and Handmaid's Tale over the summer were just even bigger than we thought they were in terms of just the saturation of public. Yeah.
Well, one thing I'll say about this category before Marcus says the men, Olivia Colman has never won a SAG award. She's got an Oscar. She's got a couple of Golden Globes. I mean, I know there could be vote splitting here, but really look out for her to win this thing.
I do. I think what you just said about vote splitting, this is a typical vote split situation because Helena Bonham Carter is such an A-lister, and the fact that she's in against Olivia, I really think that's going to hurt both of them. And, Jennifer Aniston, the hardest thing was for her to get in because they don't like new shows. And the fact that she's in, I would say watch out for Jennifer to win. So moving on to the male actors, Sterling K. Brown is back for This Is Us. He won 2 years ago, but lost last year to Jason Bateman, who's not eligible. And then we have Morning Show, Steve Carell and Billy Crudup. And by the way, Billy was not even in the prediction center. That's how much of a shock this nomination is.
You can keep that quiet.
David Harbour, Stranger Things, and Peter Dinklage, Game of Thrones. And by the way, there's 4 supporting actors here in terms of awards, at least. Carell,
I was about to say that. Remember the old Sesame Street, which one of these is not like the other?
Yeah.
Sterling could win this.
Sterling's the only lead.
The only lead.
And Susan, what else about Sterling you noticed in terms of broadcast, right?
He is the only network person who's been nominated in
the entirety
in the acting, category.
Broadcast. There's some
Broadcast, yeah.
Who do you think would win this one? Do you think he could?
Well, it's funny because he's also in the current season of Mrs. Maisel too. He's pretty much everywhere these days. And that's a good thing to me. So I think his, the fact that they hire him so much is a good sign that he probably could win because, as you said, they don't like new things like the morning show necessarily. And, Game of Thrones and Stranger Things they've seen before. So, it could be very easily him.
Dinklage has 4 Emmys and 1 Globe and has never won a SAG award. In fact, they've never given Game of Thrones anything but stunts.
If he loses here, he'll tie John Hamm as the biggest loser in this category.
Ooh.
But John has ensemble wins for Mad Men, so Game of Thrones doesn't even have that.
I think Dinklage is in a good spot though this year. Yeah. Like, I mean, even if the voters love Morning Show, Carell and Crudup would be just a classic split. I don't see them picking one or the other very clearly. Sterling's incredibly popular. He could win again easily, but the show is not up for series, so maybe that show's losing a little bit of steam here. David Harbour, honestly, I wouldn't rule him out. But just looking at this lineup, I mean, Dinklage, the show is nominated for ensemble again. He just won another Emmy. The show is going off the air, so it's sort of like a farewell award for him. We know SAG just likes him in general. Like, he was nominated back in The Station Agent long before Game of Thrones. So this might have lined up really well for a potential Dinklage win.
I've been picking Peter to win since Chris opened the prediction center 2 or 3 months ago. I just think this is finally his year. Well, it has to be because he's not going to have another one. And the split of the morning show guys is going to happen, and that means it's really a three-way race between Sterling, David, and Peter.
You know, but when I go to any award show and I'm making predictions and I use the word never, this has never happened, it really makes it hard for me to, I mean, that's one reason back at the Emmys, a bunch of people jumped on various Game of Thrones ladies or Game of Thrones guest stars over the years. And, you know, you would just look at them and go, Peter's the only one that they've ever honored with an Emmy individually. So why would you go against that trend? So that's the only reason I wouldn't pick him here. You are right, though. It's kind of an unusual field. Billy Porter, I probably would have picked had he gotten in.
Yeah, me too.
Or Brian Cox.
So moving on to movie and miniseries or limited series, there actually is no ensemble, which is weird, but we do have male actors: Mahershala Ali, True Detective, Russell Crowe, Loudest Voice, Jared Harris, Chernobyl, Jarrell Jerome, Daniel, When They See Us, Sam Rockwell, Fosse Verdon, and then the female actors: Patricia Arquette, The Act, Toni Collette, Unbelievable, Joey King, The Act, Emily Watson, Chernobyl, Michelle Williams, Fosse Verdon. Take it away, Daniel.
I think Jarrell's got the actor one. The Golden Globe snub of the entire series was depressing, but has nothing to do with SAG because Golden Globes are not given out by industry peers. And not only did Jarrell Jerome win the Emmy, When They See Us got 8 acting nominations at the Emmys, which showed just how much the industry actors loved When They See Us. Plus, it has the Netflix factor. So, I mean, the only thing working against him is the fact that he's the least well-known actor in this lineup, where you've got, like, Mahershala Ali, who they've awarded twice for his film work, and Russell Crowe, Jared Harris, Sam Rockwell. But that didn't hurt him at the Emmys, and I don't think that'll hurt him here. Female actor, I think it'll probably be Michelle Williams again. Just looking, I feel like the act probably splits. Although I wouldn't necessarily count out Toni Collette as the sole representative for Unbelievable. I'm a little surprised that she got in when that they managed to narrow it down to one of those 3 main women from Unbelievable. Emily Watson has potential, but it's such an understated role in Chernobyl that I'm not sure that she'll be able to win this.
Could Michelle Williams be the next person to win the TCA, the Emmy, the Critics' Choice, the Golden Globe, and SAG?
She's gonna pull a Sarah Paulson.
Yes, I think you're right.
Yeah, and they're both for like limited series. So yeah, I think these 2 are just going to be a repeat of the Emmy winners. So I'm not going to think too much about them. And
think about this. I mean, Michelle's winning this. There's no doubt. The act ladies split. The other 2 are supporting. I mean, Michelle's playing an actress. I mean, come on. She's got everything going for her. And she's the biggest film star out of the group. Sam Rockwell's winning the other one. I'm here to tell you.
Whoa.
He's got Jojo Rabbit out right now. He's got Richard Jewell out right now. He and Mahershala are really the 2 most respected people. I mean, Russell Crowe was at one point, but he doesn't, do nearly projects he does in the past. And I think he's got it. I think Sam and Michelle.
I would normally be inclined to follow that line of reasoning just because the SAG Awards have traditionally gone for, it's like, oh, big name respected actors over like these lesser known actors who give these standout performances. The last 2 years, though, they've gone to Alexander Skarsgård for Big Little Lies, and then Darren Criss for Assassination of Johnny Versace. I feel like they're in a more of a rubber stamping mood, especially when a performance is like, it's a standing ovation at the Emmys kind of performance by Jarrell Jerome. So I do still think he gets it, but I do think that the big name factor does kind of.
But Jarrell did not. I mean, I know it's totally different groups, but Darren got on a roll and swept everything he could sweep. Jarrell can't sweep the Globes.
No, but I really don't. I feel like the Globes just, I mean, I don't know if it's I'd call it a fluke. Like, so it only ever happened there. It can't happen anywhere else. But like the fact that the Golden Globes are just so removed from it's the voters who choose the SAG Awards and even the voters who pick the Critics' Choice Awards. I feel like that has the potential to just be an outlier.
Yeah, and also SAG is the most like socially conscious of these groups. So I think a lot of people were upset that when they see us were blanked by the Globes. So I think it's like easy for them to funnel their support to Jarrell at the SAG, especially because he's the only representative of the whole cast. I do agree that sometimes they just like to give it to the vet, like Helen Mirren. And then like 3 years ago when they gave it to Bryan Cranston for All the Way, which
the worst one ever was Paul Giamatti. He sat across the table from William Hurt, like Margot does on The Americans, and that's all he did.
Yeah, but I mean, like, yeah. So sometimes they do that, but like in Brian's case, that was also a vote split because he was up against 2 people from OJ and 2 people from The Night Of. But I think like Jarrell is okay, but yeah, like I'd probably put Sam at 2 at this point.
It's those 2.
And by the way, no Aaron Paul again. Critics'
He
Choice.
got so screwed this week.
It's such a deserving performance too, and it's a performance we know that's beloved from 6-7 years.
He might win the Emmy. That's what's crazy.
Because he's like the Emmys love Breaking Bad the most. So.
And you know what it is? I feel like we're in a period where voters for TV aren't taking TV movies seriously anymore. Like we've seen it at the Emmys, like most of the nominees for Best TV Movie at the Emmys these days get TV movie and maybe some text. If you're Black Mirror, maybe writing. It's like they're just not looking for contenders there anymore in like just original standalone films. They're looking for limited series these days.
Though, is he had everything going for him. He's a past winner from the ensemble of Breaking Bad, which they loved. He is on Netflix. I mean, and he's the only real person from that you would nominate here. It wasn't like he was up against a bunch of other people from his own cast and they couldn't decide. It makes no sense whatsoever that he got in. I mean, I'm a Russell Crowe fan, but how is he got in for everything this past week? And I didn't hear anybody talking about that project.
What's funny is that if Aaron Paul does go on to win the Emmy, he'll actually tie the number of acting Emmys Bryan Cranston won for playing Walter White, because Aaron Paul's won 3 times. Bryan Cranston won 4 times as Walter White. So like he just needs that one more win, and yeah, that'll make Walter and Jesse Pinkman even.
Susan, did you chime in with actor and actress yet?
I don't think so. But for limited series?
Yeah, you think Michelle Williams is winning, right? I think everyone.
It's her film because it's filling in the blanks of, her character or real life actress, was done wrong by the guy, Sam Rockwell's Bob Fosse. So, yeah, I think she's much more sympathetic. And I think Sam Rockwell, I was taking what Chris said to heart, but then I'm thinking, he's such a jerk to his performers, and maybe they don't like him so much, even though Sam Rockwell's in it that way. But, it's a depiction that maybe is all too much true sometimes of how, directors take advantage of their cast members or whatever. So I think maybe Jarrell Jerome is the one I would go with.
Well, thank you everyone for watching us ramble on about the SAG Awards. We're such nerds here at Gold Derby. You can go make your predictions at goldderby.com for the SAG Awards in film and TV, Golden Globes, film and TV, the Grammy Awards, and all of these Guild Awards that are coming out, plus reality show. The Oscars.
that little show that this is.
Thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you next time.